life. This is what we're here for.
Yeah. All right.
So when Sasha, like those of us who've been blessed enough to witness the growth and the development of it, we've seen it grow massive strides. And I just, for the people who might not get that window into what it's becoming, what is it and what do you envision it to be?
Sure.
And how did it start out, you know?
I guess, you know, like every story or every reality, you know, you try to find indlela you explain it, but it might not fulfill its utmost level. But the idea has been an idea forever, because as a band we always looked for better spaces. So now when we started rapping, when I started looking at my content, what I was rapping about, when I'm on the mic, critiquing the system, critiquing the mindset too after being colonized, and how Yonke Lendole has made us this unique human being, but we never had a space where we can claim.
Right.
So as long as the imaginations would wish, the wishes that never come true. So in my room, I used to have a space with brothers, just sharing space. We used to call it Deaf Camp. Because we could play the Deaf Boys.
Deaf Boys, shout out to Deaf Boys.
So in my mindset, Malume Wam was into heavily into the black consciousness, Malume Alesta, and then he's the one who shaped me to realize that black consciousness has got nothing to do with something new. Ile culture pilayo kuwe, you don't have to read it in Latin, but it gave me books as a reference, like Black Wednesday, just to read about the politics of Andabamyama. I write what I like, what is of Black Wednesday, time longer than a rope. So when niggas on what in this phone, so what if in phone is then hip hop band from Kubeka and ding up in a nagina. Because I can only be Americanized and all that.
Right.
So, and then I had to change my content to focus, not by dating, but he gave me an opening, these things must reflect up on the inside.
Right. Knowledge of self.
Yeah, so so from there again, clinic then Tina Sakandoni singalekwa ngabantu siyamkota kwi-lyrics sithini, but what's the point? Because bona bashiya into physical ebonakalayo thina khonto siyenzayo xa sibhizi ngezinto like singena result silale xa silala sidini. So I felt ukuthi he's charging me with a responsibility, and namo fundo biko was like, hey, like black man, you're on your own. If I was then I was quasi define uzomane uyidibanisa nezakho ibe into ayizobayile yakho because the foundation was never yours. So a Black Power Station was an extension of the idea of where do people find a space that is balanced, that is specifically for art, but the art as a catalyst for social change, and also as a way of saying that the art is not an extramural activity for black people, it's umsebenzi. When you say it's about artists and back to my holistic pleasure and all that. So for me it was more like, it's work, let's teach our people about umsebenzi. And also now I was privileged to have that hard experience of trying to find your rapper or perform as an MC. I find it hard and then people who are younger, they can't get in. So all those experiences, things I've seen about, okay, from 5 to it is a value bar, but no 8 that's from man. You know, like you realize everyone who's into hip hop has been through that. So for me, I felt we need a space that is neutral, that understands okay, we don't say people shouldn't drink, all that, but we need a space that appreciates the arts. Because you're performer in a tavern, abantu abapha majority baziselela pha, ngoku wena ufuna bapay attention kule nto yakho, bona baziselela ngoku bengathi wena awumanyelwanga, but it's because of the atmosphere, it's not yours. Wena ufita in, ufana nezabhotile zipha, be the environment,
be furniture.
So now I felt we need a space where we don't over-explain ourselves what we're trying to do. If you're here to do hip-hop, do it. The audience who's here to watch you, they're here for that. It should be a home where it's an intellectual space. It should be an international destination. So it's been a long overdue idea of being pushed back by other places. And you know, this is where we are right now. I don't know if it's too poetic, but I don't have a direct way of saying when's the way, and this is because most places are based on funding. People got funding, they apply for funding, then the idea came. The idea came where there was no funding, and it's continued funding because of people who need the same space. So I follow the need. Like build it, they will come.
Well, that's very important. That's the whole idea of it's never complete until habit becomes habitat, you know. It's never complete until we realize that because we were dispossessed from space, we need to again find a way to possess space to empower ourselves. So if full circle, so I want to just take a rewind for the people who might not be familiar with X Nasty, Xolile Madinda, and how this journey with activism, social consciousness, community building, and more importantly, hip-hop started for you. Where the spark, where the earliest origin story for you, say,
Me, my brother, was into hip-hop, but more in dancing. So, and I think like the year in the Chumizam, we say about 1996 was the year Apple we can classify it as deaf boys or as an individual I connected to hip hop. It was more the politics, the whole thing you put money, Nansindo, allow it to express. So 1996 was a spark, and then from there, as I said parts of it that my uncle found out I'm doing this thing and then I'm too much English, and then
bring it back home.
He came to me and said, hey, don't try when you're a rapper and don't learn. So I had to explain to him, and he was a quiet person, you know, when he talks it a little. So you should be the one coming close to him, whether there's a better in trouble, because you have to come close, there's no running away from him. So he told me, look, Anfunuba Americanized because the hip hop American. So he started explaining politics of reality. So for me, from there, I used to rap in English, like dictionary, of course. If you are doing history at that time, school, your vocabulary will be influenced by that. If you're into science, so the environment, obviously at that time, it was rough, you know, people were listening to everything that was hip-hop. There was no conscious hip-hop kind of, whatever that was available. So for me, that was it, like growing up in my Grahamstown, Makhanda, exposed to many things in a university town. So everything was like a young man traveling between these two worlds, poverty and wealth. So, and then our content was influenced by that reality and the politics I got from my uncle. And so I was X, you know, Xolile, so I needed an AKA, so I was like, okay,
that X.
X Nasty, I was X Nasty, then my AKA still is. So X Nasty was more a mathematical calculation of how nasty I can be, you know. if you deal with me like this, I'm gonna be that.
Right.
If you do, so you must solve for X.
Yeah, yeah.
People say you're nasty because you're good.
You're
people
good.
say you're nasty because you're bad. So it was more or less that, yeah, bro.
Right. First it was nasty, now times have changed. What you nas?
Yeah. So in danger. So basically that was me, you know.
Right.
And hip hop ke ngoku elevated, and then sabhala ngesixhosa kudala from way back, yabo. So it was more that, and then I continued in Nakula, and we're here right now, yabo.
Right.
Yeah, at the Black Power Station.
Yes, sir. We've arrived. Yeah. Okay.
Yo, you are listening to another so wonderful presentation. What up? Yo. Soul peace from the cold east. Represent peace like a dot in your dome piece. That shit. All Buddha, Kush crime, smoky temples. Ain't no fog over the shit that my thought resembles. When I pick up that soul heat, scrabble. Where this bomb beats from beyond and the 10 table it's on. Break a 1-9 of the song since 89 and strong. It's no hype, how we handsome and long. To the lava she know best. Calvary treats me like a king and she's no less. Father, yeah, we on the paradise conquest. Motherly goddess on top of the fortress. The conquer queen, I'll be your knight in the sword fist. Cut in the sword flesh, 1004 sets of plumber gear. You get the pumping if you're passing for puppeteer. Heavy load swinging, hanging lighter than chandeliers. Straight alchemy, calibrated mechanics. Work my algorithm in this life, mathematics. I'll probably fill the balance with a fat cap to blast it. Just to live in color like Jim Carrey on Netflix. Catfish identity crisis, regularitis. A herbalist, tribalist, rasta, pasta, my life is spliffing hab, scripting this word, lifting the tab, chill the buzz, run out of the booze like slipping fans, alcohol overheads. Poets and preachers alike with encrypted messages in the verses that heat the mic. Yo, freaking emphasis, yo, my sentences heat the light. So when you catch it, you pull in the curtain to kill the night and leave you in the days that's colder than winter days. Turn your brain to a folder as soon as I pick a page. Control, I delete and eject after the banner. The music has a different effect when it gets turned up in news. So yeah, for now, yo. Yes, sir. Bag if you must.
Okay, so Dax, you talk about growing in a black conscious environment, having an uncle who made it important for you to understand how to relativize hip-hop with your own integral identity as a South African, as somebody living in your own particular circumstance. Tell us a little bit more about how that can develop your journey in hip-hop, you know?
I guess, again, you know, it's a strange thing. It's like all of us see hip-hop, we get it to the point of which imagery is what we have seen and what, like Black Thought, like Umdon Dave, we talk about Black Thought, but this is something we have. So I realized, but the more I started reading Black consciousness, I started relating, and then now unpacking this hip hop we received, I was like, chin man. I'm talking freestyling. The only person in the environment that doesn't need to be in the program, that can say the meanest things but the profound things, and then someone ofundileyo ongahlelanga nencwadi, someone ozazi zonke iziduko zabantu, but nxa ifika kwi-ceremony ungacima ngumuntu obriefiweyo, but because ukhole into imkhabayo ngaphakathi, which means I started to realize, but hey man, hip hop is never something we've learned from the West, but it was activated. Yes, we acknowledge that history, but in reality, man, if hip-hop started by black people, how did those black people ended up in America? Now you go back to history that people left their sheeps, bamkas as slaves, bazalula payana. They were naturally into zakufikela ikhabe ngaphakathi ubunguwe to express who you are. So for me, when I started to look at hip hop in that sense, that's when I started to be more comfortable with what is Glendon Yenza. I'm not trying to mimic America. I'm not trying to mimic the West, but I'm gonna influence using this medium I've learned to actually speak out and Indians are not confident. The same way I would have gone to the bush and be confident as a man to speak in front of other men and be argumentative by something that can progress and add value to other people. So my hip hop became that because of through my uncle who made me see the relevance of these realities. These are one thing, but it's just that it's a continuation in a different lifetime. So we shouldn't embrace that new idea. First embrace this one so you can be able to actually just an addition.
Right.
So for me, I guess the journey of black consciousness, the journey of my being an MC and feeling the pulse of Uguti when I'm in front of the audience. I don't need to be someone fluent in English, but I can be fluent in isiXhosa. And moreover, when I speak it in isiXhosa, I can feel it first because I don't have to translate it, because when you speak English, each and every word you have to translate it in your soul, what it means. But isiXhosa, you
comes
say
naturally.
It's direct.
Yeah, it's natural. The same way why hip-hop to me became important, because it made me realize how to decode language. For an example, Situ Ubuntu, for the oppressors, learned how to decode language. Tina, we didn't want to decode language because we lived it, because the status clause. So we are even, your body relates, but in English you have to decode what it means. It becomes a fun language, but to other people they know what that word means in terms of mental control. So now, understanding Upalang is closer with hip hop, it made me be conscious of what I say and how it affects my community. Because when it's in English, I can be rude as much as I want, but in isiXhosa, even myself, I'll be shocked. But I can't say this. So there's a censoring in me because it's embodied in me. So in what I'm trying to say, like Ubuntu is used against black people in South Africa to not fight, to not do anything fun, to retaliate to want what is yours. Because if I take the camera, you're going to grab the mic from another MC, and then I take a Ubuntu, although I know it's BAM the camera, but I demand, you understand? I'm demanding it back. But when you an ex what am I gonna do? Automatically, but because if I was speaking English with you, retaliation, I would have continued to take my camera back. So our language has been used against us because automatically our blood and our pulse will work accordingly. So in a way, Ningati, to answer your question, my man, is that for me, hip-hop became that tool to be conscious about what I'm doing, and then my uncle too, because so if I listen to him in still because in Funu rap, so I need him to approve. And then by me thinking I'm making him approve, I was learning, man, this is how the direction should be, you know. So I don't know if it makes sense.
It makes complete sense. Now you've come of age. You're a father. You are a mentor to many. You are a kind of a symbol of hope who look at your actions. You, in a way, you've become your uncle. You've become an image of what he stood for in many ways. There's a younger generation who are growing up in very different times, who are also being inspired by hip hop in their own particular ways.
Yeah.
Many would say hip hop is currently being in South Africa, in the South African context. If you look at our biggest hip hop acts, Nasty C, the Blackie, the Aries, that now we have a hyper Americanization, which I felt was interesting looking at your particular part.
Yeah.
What do you think now the role of knowledge of self in hip hop plays when we have a generation that seem to not really take it into importance to know where they come from immediately, but are caught up in this global consciousness?
Yeah. Dingati, okay, this is a very, because I argue with these young ones when they come here, you know, like, I say first, skill. For us, skill, lyricism, ufunda, you know, it was the foundation, because you knew you go into a cipher, someone else is listening on the speaker. They're not bothered by any. When you get on stage, you have a nice beat or a terrible beat, they want to hear what you are about to say. So they can attack back.
Right.
You knew that it was not your friends on Instagram. It was more about your lyricism and skill and your ability as an MC. So I always tell them the story that we used to have a hook when we hosted cyphers. It's like, what do you do when a work MC step on stage? The audience would say, we switched the mic off.
Ooh,
you know,
okay.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, now you can't do that now.
Yeah.
Because it's like you hating on me. You know, we respected when you step on the stage. If you're in PE or
whatever,
by East London,
Tinaga,
you knew that
Yeah.
it's a slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
right?
We're friends or not friends, but when you enter the stage, show us what you got, because other people are listening, because you want to learn before uthi wena ne-fans zakho ku-Instagram. So coming back to this thing, the reality is that Tina, hip-hop was an addition of what we were influenced outside of hip-hop. Hence I came up with that idea, say, around hip-hop. Because the thing is, in guy, if you are an MC, like or you're not doing anything outside of getting on a mic or whatever, you will lose sight of competition. So you will lose sight of the reality. You will lose sight of reality of that we are needing something to add on to your rap,
Right.
you know. So that is what the young people are needing, because the only thing they feed in hip hop, they feeding one TV. They don't feed from their surrounding.
Commercial aspect.
So now, Tina, we knew that we are charged to read. We are charged. We know there's battle cats, there's ciphers. There's no ciphers, there's performances now.
Right.
So umntu line up for performance in the audience yakhe. I invite him. And then there's bedroom studios. There's no sharing community.
Yeah.
Although hip hop has grown, but we have lost the essence of able to share and need each other.
Connectivity.
Yeah, we can't write together and say, your lines are whack. You can't, that you lose friends. So there's no real combat in terms of being told, being upfront. So the hyper is that money is more. What is happening to MCing now is what has happened to b-boy culture, where Nike and other people started sponsoring it. Money became a thing, so to dance became more of a commodity.
Right.
So Tinagwe hip hop now, being conscious is like, so what? You know, same
Senzimali anyway.
Senzimali,
Yeah.
you know, like in the Zinjal. So Ningati, it complicated. So, and also the influence that they get every day is not the influence Tina Sasina. They have access. Abantu bane grant. Their mothers can afford to take a loan, Louis, for a computer. So be individual, ne friends are for
Right, in their bedroom.
So the access to money changed hip hop.
Right.
So Tina, then you knew there's one guy in a computer. Nah, he didn't say yam. He knew that was for the collective. Yeah, but so Ningati, that collectiveness groomed us to need each other in a community. Now, a community hip hop now is 4 friends or 1 person with the Instagram company friend yake that can market him. So Dingati, does it make sense?
Kakul.
Okay.
Kakul.
Yeah.
From the way Ndikuva, it's hip hop has kind of lost out on a sense of initiation. The culture used to have methods in place where you grew and you were initiated into a skill set which you developed. But now that it's kind of given into fully into commercial commodification, you grow and you make it up as you go along. You don't have people before you who are there to refine the skill and show you how it can be used in different aspects. And I guess the only thing to say when we understand what might be the issue in the generational gap where the youth is here, the so-called OGs are here, hip-hop is evolving nevertheless, because all of us are part of hip-hop, young or old. What are your final kind of visions with the Black Power Station as we stand before it, and what it's become as a tool to empower artists, creatives? And you said something very important of hip-hop is more than just the music. It captures literature. It's a living, breathing literature. It's an archive of not only the black experience but the human experience. So what would you, as Utax, ex-Nasty, want to do or hope with this institution?
Well, you know, like it's funny, like I'll misquote it maybe but it's based on my knowledge without digging deep. Many people use the idea of kwakhiwa kwathiwa kumuntu makahambe okha inkonzo in the middle of nowhere. And waba nemibuzo kwathiwa yakhe bazokuza. You know, I think Black Power Station is it's outside of the city, in the rural, but between people who are traveling from PE. It's like in the N2. So there are a Black Power Station, I call it the international destination. Basically where all are welcome. Because I created a culture that there was no one for us who could create it. Because tina sasizenzela, sitibanisa sibheka phambili. So we are charged with the responsibility to build that foundation so that even those who want to be like or X, because someone said something, le timer le tandao, a philosopher, he said, we can't blame Mandela, we can't blame all these people because when they were younger, they were active, they were stronger. But I think what was a mistake, I mean not a mistake, but what could be a lesson to us is to say, we know what needs to be, what made us. Let's build the institution so that when these one need it, you build it with a foundation. Nobuyafika is a judge foundation. Asbone and abuye lumva, because you can't go to a show and tell these boys or girls how to be. That no, your time was that. But when they come here, they start to reflect to many things. There's an openness of discussion, there's books, there's an openness to dialogue. What is this thing we are doing? So for me, I think I'm charged with that responsibility of like, being umkhuluwa to the community. Lo mkhuluwa would accept whatever the small thing as an but in Ditichong, there's a greater part. Ukuti, you know, there's artists here who've left us archives that we should be able to pick up from. Young kids won't be able to. They basbona tina sizi failures because the hip hop bacimba indo kwenza
Mali,
So now I'm saying, we need to show them. I'm seeing in America, there's people who run NGOs, lawyers who can defend the things we talk about. So now we want to build a foundation here at the Black Power Station that is more like an educational center that you don't have to over-explain yourself. So my journey is this, appreciating what you're doing, archiving these things, because some of these kids enjoy watching things on TV. YouTube than us having a conversation, because conversation you know, you want it your way, but when they watch it on the screen, they feel like it's their own interpretation of what they're looking at. So their form of receiving information is totally disconnected from a human level.
It's a tutorial.
It's a tutorial. So you're non-human. So Ningati Black Power Station is trying to open up and say, let's go back to being human. Ubuhlanti, I use this concept more over here. I'm building on it. Ubuhlanti is a solution-orientated system. And demands anyone in any family where because you know when you enter there, it's not about you. It's unabanda badala. There's people before you. So hip hop, if we see it like that, we are able to. We are inspiring to be sitting with those old people. So the Buhlanti concept as a solution-oriented platform is what the Black Power Station is. Because if unzohlala now a front inguwo bhatala rent apha endlini okanye uthengeza couch xa ndikuxelela mnina uyatyavuza uzathi uzotya ntoni ezi situlo wena uphangela nophangela bhuti uzonixelela loo nto leyo. So basically take them out of the place that makes them feel they are more important. So hip hop needs that platform of us engaging in a neutral space so that you don't feel like, okay, I'm tight, I'm this. Yes, that's the foundation, knowledgeable, but at the end of the day, what are we leaving behind? We can go to Jay-Z because, because they've built a foundation, and then they have classic, but at the same time, literature that we receive from them. So I think for me, this is the beauty. The beauty of the Black Power Station, the future is the international destination for hip-hop. I'm influenced by hip-hop. The place is influenced by hip-hop. But the bigger picture is, I was influenced by my surrounding. Hence, I used to use around hip-hop as a concept because hip-hop is a reflection of what is around us. So basically for me, as my end thing is that I am charged by my own words. Uguti, X used to be part of Def Boys, still is. But my AK was X Nasty, basically solve for X. So I've solved a part of me, which is building this, so that we don't have to be charged by these young people. My daughter has a lot to say, but when she's here, she feels like I don't have control as a father. She feels like she's in an open space to do whatever. So the Black Power Station in the Eastern Cape, I would want it to be a different space that gives a foundation. And then I wish one day all of these people you've interviewed, we could all be here, hopefully next year.
Okay.
I'm charging you with a responsibility in your team.
It's on record.
With your team that let's do a hip-hop conference next year. 6 days where we deal with literature, where we deal with MCing, we're dealing with everything that deals with hip-hop. And I think you guys have a responsibility, Nani, to archive that moment. So let's come together as Eastern Cape artists. There's thousands of people who arrived during the festival, and that's the audience we should be influencing. As a collective, as an Eastern Cape, and say this is our moment to use. So for me, if there's anything, man, I really appreciate you. And then if there's any other further question, I'm here, man. Like I'm here building this international destination, the Black Power Station, and become an ambassador, that's other thing. We are building people to become ambassadors of the Black Power Station, meaning that if you're ambassador of the Black Power Station, means be a selfish person. Say, I'm into filming. Ndifuna uzokwenza into Black Power Station based on that. I'm an artist, visualizing, ndifuna ukwenza le way, and then how see we work together.
Right.
So engosini bandoda.
Ngosimanta X, truth to power, which is what we echo and allegedly always claim hip hop is about. In this podcast, we have always stressed the importance of understanding what hip hop means to us, building this hip-hop story, hip-hop for South Africans. Where does it come from? Where can we take it? We've spoken to somebody who's taken the mission and been inspired by hip-hop to bring it forward and in power. One last question. Sinendo abaku headspace, we have something we call the A word, which I think related to what you've been speaking about. What does authenticity mean to you?
Okay,
In short, G.
in short,
Yeah.
ndingathi iba ilendo ndingathini for me I can say be the reflection of what you say, because it's a complicated word. It's like uthi sixhosa mastoliko ilendo iyo, because mna ndingathi I'm being authentic about myself. What I say is what I do. So lento ndiyithethayo yilento abantu abaninzi abanganqina ngayo, bandiyayenza okanye babeyibonile.
Right.
So whoever referred you to me, the question is, when you meet me, will it be an opposite to that? So I guess being authentic for me, that's what it means. One day you said to me, kwabantu abaninzi abateketayo. So ndingathi being authentic, ba uyateketa abantu baza kudoubt, because noma unyanisekile but because awukwazanga uyithetha awuzovakala endlebeni zabantu.
That's what it is.
X marks the spot.
X marks the spot. It's been a humbling opportunity.
Yeah.
Serano, X Nasty, Xolile Madinda. And I hope the headspaces have learned something about knowledge of self within the context of hip-hop, South African hip-hop. This is our story. We're telling it as we live it. Yeah. He's telling it as he lives it. Yeah. Black Power Station, you heard it. If you want to be an ambassador, if you want to find out what spaces like these are doing, it's truth to power. Hip-hop has become a habit, and maybe habit needs habitat. This is our habitat. Season1, Makhanda, VJ, the X. I'm signing out.
Peace.